everyone, I'm Erica and welcome to my channel, or welcome back. Today I'm going to have an episode of Dizzyknits, which is where a few times a year I talk about my knitting projects. I used to do this more often, but I used to do everything on this channel more often. Anyway, I'll very quickly start with what I'm wearing today. So this is a vest I made by adapting an andi Satturland pattern called the Myrna pattern, which is a cardigan. And I basically just made it into a vest. I've had this for a few years now. It's with Barocco Vintage, which is with an acrylic and wool blend. And it worked very nicely with a new shirt I made recently. This is the all-in easy fit blouse shirt from Pattern Emporium that actually launched I think yesterday, and I was one of the test sewers for that. So I'll put a link to it down below, but it is a shirt with a few different options. I've got this version with a cuff here and this little easy collar. There's also a collar with a stand. So it's a pretty cool pattern, and there's a lot of different options. Before I forget, I mentioned andi Satturland. I mentioned untangling knots from the vest I'm wearing. I'm also knitting one of her patterns right now. She is closing her pattern shop on the end of the month, so December 30th. So if you want any of Andi's patterns, now is a great time to do so. I'm a big fan. I've got most of her patterns. I bought the two I had left to get that I didn't already have today. But yeah, I'm a big fan. I'm sorry to see it go. I wish you so many good things. I have been knitting her stuff for a long time. So I have nothing but affection for her designs. Anyway, I've got some things to show you. Oh, I'm wearing hand-knit socks. It's cold. It's snowed the last couple days. So these are, I'm showing you my foot. These are Patton's Croy, and they're just vanilla socks. And I don't remember what this colorway is called, but it's just, you know, blue, stripy socks. Anyway, some finished objects. So the first thing is I have this hat. This is very special wool. This is some friends of mine went to Scotland, and so they got me this. It's an alpaca blend. It's by La Belle Amie. No, Camaros. So it's Camaros. I have 2 more skeins of it, and it is their alpaca blend wool. Unfortunately, I can't link to the hat pattern because I just kind of made it up. It is a slip stitch through there. And I just kind of slipped a stitch like every 3 stitches. This is a chunky wool, so it's really big. So I just kind of cast on the number I needed to fit my head, or hopefully fit my head. It's a little big, a little loose, but it's really cute and it's really warm. So that is my first finished object. And I really need hats right now because I've, as you can see, cut off all my hair. So I'm cold and my head's cold. And then I finished this giant project. I talked about this in my last Dizzyknits that I'd gotten some of the yarn for this. So this, I'm trying to get really far back. It's so big. This is the Shawl Smorgasbord by Stephen West. So you start here at the top and then you work your way down to this beautiful border. This shawl is a lot of fun. There's a lot of different stitches. There's a bunch of eyelets. There's this crisscross. Just a lot of really fun things happening with this shawl. It makes, I actually made it smaller than it's written. Stephen loves a schlanket, and I'm only 5'3" and I'm pretty petite. So a really giant shawl isn't always the most user-friendly option for me. But this one, I made it a little bit shorter, bound off a little early, and I think it's really nice. I love it. It's such a pretty color. Unfortunately, I can't really link to the yarn because it's a lot of leftovers from a ton of projects. I know that some of this is like, the dark blue is like something I've had for years, but some of these other ones are from places like Yarn Love and Lady by Lisa. There's one in here by Hot Knit Yarns. There's one here by Haviland. So I'll try to link to what I can. But yeah, Shawl smorgasbord. Oh, it's so cozy and cuddly. It's all merino sock yarn, so it's just beautiful. And I've never knit anything quite this bright and vivid. And I certainly didn't have any blue shawls. And look at that color. That's from Haviland, that neon green chartreuse speckle. So that was really fun to add in and kind of use as an accent. Then I've got a half finished object. So I've knit one sock of a pair. This is not for me. This is actually not selfish knitting for once. My mother-in-law gave me the yarn for this sock. This is by the brand Hobby, and this is their flower sock. This is just 60 stitches, toe up sock, fish lips, kiss heel. Nothing really too exciting about it, but I got it done really fast. The Hobby sock yarn is pretty nice. It reminds me a lot of Patton's Croy. It's just a little bit thinner. So if you find the Croy socks are like a little too thick, this is a little bit thinner than that, but it's not as thin as some sock yarns that are like shawl style sock yarns that are really delicate. This has a lot of springiness to it, as you can see, and just a really good like squish. And it feels like it'd be pretty durable. So that is this one. Here is the ball, that the skein that it comes to. It's a single pull, center pull ball. I can't talk. And it goes through all these different weird colors. And I have cast on the second sock. So we have a start. So this is not a Christmas gift or anything. This is more like a, hey, you gave me 3 skeins of this yarn. They're all the same. They're all this red and yellow. And so I think that you should have a sock out of one of them. She bought them for another project, a crochet project, and it didn't really work. It was pooling really funky because when you make this in a sock, you get these stripes and they're pretty clean. But if you start doing like a really, it was a sweater for my niece who's like a year old. So it was much bigger, longer rows, and it was just doing some really weird stuff. So she didn't like the pooling, so she passed it on to me because she knows I can knit a sock. So that's what we're doing. So that has been fun. This is a great like TV watching project, which I will talk to you about some of the TV we have been watching because it's cold and it's snowed a couple times and no one wants to be outside. So I'm doing a lot of knitting and being at home. All right, next up. This is my Christmas bag. I made myself a little project bag out of fat quarters. So the front is this sort of tropical Christmas, and then the back are these little presents. And what I did was I basically just sewed 2 fat quarters together, gathered up one corner and put in cam snaps, and then gathered up the other corner and put in cam snaps. So it closes up and it makes this kind of weird envelope-y shaped bag. And it's worked pretty good. So I'm working on the Ducket sweater by Andi Satturland. You can get it on the Untangling Knots website until the end of the month. This is how far I've gotten. So I've just joined the sweater to be, it's like making no sense, sorry. So I've just joined it to be a sweater, like all one piece. So you knit the upper back first, then you pick up stitches and cast on and do the right side. And then you pick up stitches and cast on the left side. I'll see if I can do this without ripping my stitches out so you guys can get an idea. Of course, I'm going to do it on the side with the brooch so it gets stuck on the brooch. Anyway. So yeah, so that is kind of the shape of it. It's got these panels of reverse stockinette. and then these panels of this sort of V-shaped lace. So it should be really pretty. I'm gonna make it with long sleeves. I've got 4 skeins of my yarn. This is the ball. See how it's kind of like a brown with like almost some purple and blue flecks in it? It's a very interesting color. I think it's called Mystery, and it's Cascade 220 Superwash. So let's see. Here is the ball. I don't know if you can see that. It's a tweed, and there's some light blue, some light purple, and a little bit of like a rusty pinky tone in it that makes it look kind of brownish purple, which I think is really cool. It's color number 367. So it's squishy and delicious. You guys probably know by now how much I enjoy Cascade 220. So I'm excited to work on this. The lace pattern's pretty easy. And I'm making pretty good progress. So I just have to finish the body and then the sleeves, and then I'm done. So I need to find some buttons for it, but it's a little tricky because this deep kind of purpley chocolate color is hard to match buttons. So I'm looking on Etsy, hoping to get lucky and find something. I will definitely keep you guys posted. I hope to do these more often than like once a year, which is what I did last year. So crossing my fingers, I can get on a more, you know, consistent schedule, but no promises. All right, and then finally, the last thing I'm working on. Snapping things shut. Okay, last thing I'm working on. Stephen West just put out a new workshop, and I'm addicted to West Knits workshops. I just find them so fun to watch, so inspirational. I see them and I want to knit everything. So this is a sweater I've started from the new workshop. This is the back. Here's the front. So this is a round yoked top down sweater, and I'm using a bunch of leftover yarn to do it. I think I can I get this over my head without, all right, let's see. I'm just gonna toss it, yeah, like this. All right, so you can get kind of an idea. So yeah, it just kind of goes around, and there's these cool stitch patterns. So this is the Rain or Shine sweater by Stephen West. And you start here at their cast on edge, and then you are making the yoke right now. So I'll show you a picture of what it looks like when it's done. And then I'll kind of show you the yarns that I think are going to be used in this sweater. So this is the Rain or Shine. Let me get a good picture of it. There is Rain or Shine sweater. It's got that cool technique where you've got this garter stitch. There it is on Stephen. Just beautiful. So he has this lovely collar on his, and I've opted not to do that because I don't like how close that is to my neck. I like a much lower neckline, and I have a bunch of his sweater patterns and I don't make them because they're too close to my neck. So what I ended up doing is, for my size, which I'm making the smallest size, which is size 36, which should give me about 1 inch to 2 inches of positive ease over my bust. It might be a little baggy at the top, but that's okay. So for my size, I was supposed to cast on 104 stitches, and instead I cast on 120 stitches, which made it more of like a scoop kind of boat neck. Like it's just hanging a lot lower on me. And then by the time I get to my stitch pattern, here we go. So you're starting up here. I made the ribbing very short. As you can see, there's almost no ribbing. This is Knit Picks Stroll, and they're dark green. Excuse me. They're darker green colorway. And then I knit some shaping in garter stitch, and then you go into your stitch pattern. So I started with 120 stitches, and then when I got to the garter stitch row, I had to increase to 130. Whereas in the normal sweater, if you do it the way he wrote it, you go from like 103 or 104 stitches to 130. So it's kind of a bigger jump, but I think this is gonna work. I have put it on waste yarn and tried it on a couple times, and it feels like it's gonna be really nice. So I will show you my yarn, because a lot of this yarn was also in the Shawl smorgasbord. So you can kind of get an idea. So the colors I'm working on right now, this is a knit pick stroll, and you hold 2 fingering yarns together because it's marled. So this is a knit pick stroll, and one of their brighter greens. I think this is jungle or rainforest. And then this is something that's deep in my stash, and I don't even remember. I might have even dyed this myself because I used to dye. It kind of feels like a commercial sock yarn that's been dyed with food coloring, so that might be what this is. But I've also got in here, I've got like more of this knit pick stroll, which is my color for my cuffs and my bottom edge. This beautiful color is from, I want to say Yarn Lovin' Lady by Lisa, and it's in the Shawl smorgasbord several times. The best example of it is, yeah, right here. Do you see that little light sea foamy color? Well, there it is. That's what I had left. So it's going in this sweater. This is a random bright blue. I don't remember where it came from, but it's going to go in there. This is from, I think, Buxom Cat Knits, and it is in this shawl a couple times. Right through there. You see that one? Right there, the X's, that's that yarn. The bit that left. I've got some random grays. I don't know where they came from. I've got this random speckle. This is left over from my shawlography last year. So basically I've got all my blues and greens and a little bit of dusty purple and gray, and that is gonna be my sweater. So, hopefully I will be able to just relax and enjoy getting some knitting projects finished soon. I'm in a knitting mood. It's just cold and I want to cover myself head to toe in wool. That's my plan. Let's see. Really quick, I'll just mention to you a couple things that we've been watching, because we have been watching some shows and some different newer things. The other night we watched Spirited, which is Ryan Reynolds and Will Ferrell, which is hilarious. It's so cute and heartwarming and funny and adorable. So it's a modern take on the Christmas Carol with those two amazing actors, and it's a musical. And I'm not kidding. It's like a full-on Fosse with, like, you know, jazz hands, crazy musical. There's full-on choreography. There's dancing. It's crazy, but it's really fun. We also finished Wednesday, which is amazing. It was so good. It was everything I wanted it to be. All the actors are fantastic. There's her roommate is probably one of my favorite characters that's ever been in anything ever. She's a werewolf, which I love. And she's obsessed with color. So she has like rainbow pastel stuff all over. It looks like Lisa Frank exploded in her half of the bedroom. And I adore her. Everything about that show just made my heart smile. It's 100% worth watching. What else? Let's see. Oh, I know we saw something else recently. I think that's the two I'm going to leave with. So those are the two things we have watched and just been like, oh my gosh, this was the best thing ever. So if you need grab some easy knitting, you know, and just watch those, because you won't be sorry. All right, happy December 1st. I hope that you guys are doing well. I hope that you're having a safe, happy day wherever you are in the world, and I'll see you next time.